the launch of my book, The Witch's Way Home, it has a lovely chapter in it about the witch wound, and I really was inspired and felt this call to do a really interesting series of conversations about that subject. So this is a start of a new series, and I'm really excited to be doing it, and it's really all about grabbing yourself this nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea and just anchoring in and to listening into the moments that I'll be sharing with you over a period of. So this series is going to be released every Sunday. I'm going to break it up into different areas of conversation. I'm going to invite some incredible women from all over the world of different ages, different backgrounds, to have some really interesting conversations about the witch wound and about how it affects us in our day-to-day life. So if you've bought my book, The Witch's Way Home, you will see in this book that I believe that we all carry this witch wound. It affects all genders. And I believe this because our ancestors would have heard and would have felt fear and pain and stress from witches, from the word witch. And also being a witch, when I tell people what I do, it does sort of make people go, oh, okay, are you going to hex me? Are you going to do this? And it's all very negative, and I feel that's a real shame. So when the witch trials were happening, so many people, men and women, were put to death because of the word witch. Now, not all of these people were actually witches. Most of them were midwives. Some of them were just healers, or somebody that you'd go and talk to for some advice, or they would work with plants, or they would work on the land. But the word witch was made terrifying. And the sad thing is, because of this fear, these small villages around England and Europe and America, women within these villages would actually out other women so that they could protect their own selves and their family and children, but out their sisterhood and point out, oh, she's a witch, she's a witch, she's a witch. And they were sadly put to death. Now, this fear has gone through our DNA into our ancestors, so radiates out in us in our day-to-day life. Now, I see this a lot with working with mainly women all around the world, and most of the women that come to me all suffer the same thing, which is this fear of being seen, fear of being their true self. They would rather mold into what's acceptable in society. They would like to dress the same as everyone else. They don't speak their truth. They hold back with their voice and their throat chakra. They certainly don't want to be shown up if they believe in something that is woo-woo or different, because then they'll be mocked, they'll be persecuted, and it's this whole thing that goes on. So one of the ways that we can actually heal the witch wound is to actually create this massive sisterhood. And I'm all about sisterhood. But to create this sisterhood of having women in your life, but not just as your friends, women who are maybe even celebrities that you admire or see, because, you look through social media, there's a lot of easy hate speech around, a lot of judgment, a lot of picking on people, which is a real shame. And I feel if we all got together and actually lift other women up and celebrated them, who, when we see a woman who starts their dream business, or a woman that becomes really successful, instead of being envious or jealous, maybe we should celebrate them and support them and praise them, so that more women can do this, more women can be who they've come here to be. So in my personal experience is what I want to share with you today. When I grew up, as I was growing up, my mum was a witch. So I've come from a magical background, and you've probably heard me say this if you've been following me. And when my mum talked about being a witch, I remember I was about 16 years old, 16, 17, and I started to get interested a bit more about the word witch. And when I talked to her about it, she was saying, you have to keep these things really private and keep it close to yourself. Don't tell anybody that I'm a witch, and don't, if you become a witch, don't tell anyone, because you will be judged and knocked and picked upon. And even the pentagram that I wear today is actually my mum's pentagram, and she used to wear it with a massive crystal pendant on top so that no one could actually see the pentagram. Well, I wear it as a proud badge, basically, of that I am a witch today, but also it's a protection symbol for me. Lots of people also fear this and think it's the devil, but that's another story. So when my mum became ill with cancer and I came to her home to care for her last 8 days, I ran upstairs and put her pendant on, and I haven't taken it off since, and that was 4 years ago now. And during, I think it was about 2019, I started to share online my witchcraft side of me. And obviously I'm 48 years old and I've been a witch for 27 years now, and up until then I did keep it very private. So up until 2020 really, I was a fashion photographer and I was working with brands and I was working with big teams. My cat's trying to catch the I was working with big teams, and it was really, really fun, and it did fix a creative side of me that I really like about myself. I do love creativity, and it was a good career. I've been doing that for I think about 12 years, and I had a nice name for myself in Cornwall, so I was doing all right as a photographer. And on like fashion shoots, I would give models crystals, or I would give them advice where I'd be channeling the information, but I never told them what I was doing. I never said that I practiced witchcraft or anything like that. I kept it all within. I was very anxious about coming out, so to speak, out of the broom cupboard onto social media because of what my mum had taught me, that it would be difficult. And up until probably 40 years old, I've struggled to speak my truth, and I do believe that's one of the main reasons why I did get cancer of the thyroid, of the throat chakra, because I kept everything inside. I was a people pleaser. I just wanted to fit in, be loved and liked, and I should have actually stood up for myself and spoke my truth. So the witch wound for me personally, I have struggled with that. I struggled through high school. I got bullied a lot about my hair. I got bullied because my mum was a little bit different. I sort of molded into people. I wanted to be accepted and liked. I'm very dyslexic, so I found school very challenging. And then through my career, I started as a fashion designer, and I was constantly battling with men to try and prove myself, prove my worth, prove my creative abilities. And then right up until I started my Instagram account in 2020 properly, what I found was the more I spoke my truth and the more I shared authentically online and was just me, the more nice comments I got, the more support I got from other people. People were messaging me saying that they found it really interesting and inspiring, and my Instagram started to grow. I never actually had any intention to make a community online. I just thought it'd be a nice way to share another side of me other than the fashion photography. But what I found from all of that my mum was actually wrong. There wasn't a persecution or hateful remarks or anything like that. I was actually surrounded by love, and I'm very grateful today that it's brought me wonderful opportunities, and it's allowed me to work and meet with incredible people all over the world. So I'm very grateful for that. I thought it'd be really nice to have conversations with some women that have actually stepped straight into this fear, or women that have created these businesses from nothing, gone against the fear of being judged, and actually changed and has healed the witch wound. I also want to talk about the magic of sisterhood. So I'm going to have some women on who work with like women's circles or witchy circles. I'm going to speak to a lot of other witches to see what their opinion is on the witchery and how it's affected them, how they are healing from it or healed from it, and what they see in their day-to-day life. I also want to talk to women who have been dreaming of their dream business and just gone, you know what, I'm just going to try, I'm just going to face that fear and go for it anyway and see what happens. They're going to be really inspiring. So I hope every Sunday evening you will join me on this channel with me and be inspired, and I hope it makes you think about things of how you are holding yourself back, or how the witch wound is affecting you personally, and how we can join collectively all over the world, wherever you are, to actually heal this and step forward and actually celebrate each other. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this journey with me.